Hey, welcome back, guys. This is Dan Hornacek, and you're listening to the Leading on the Frontlines podcast. Once again, if you guys haven't, please subscribe and review. Have really appreciated all the engagement and stuff on, especially X more than anything, but would love to see you guys on Instagram as well, and we are on YouTube. So if you are choosing to watch this, you get to see my pretty face, but if not, I hope you guys have enjoyed listening to the podcast. So today we're going to talk about something a little different. So I kind of want to discuss, what do you do when you don't get it right, right? So obviously we strive to do our jobs well. We strive to build a culture of, doing the right thing or exceeding goals or whatever it might be, right? That's always the goal. But inevitably, no matter how good you are, you're going to screw up, right? You're going to make a bad decision. You're going to think an employee's lying to you, or maybe reprimand them for something that they didn't do. Something's going to happen along the lines of you just making a mistake, right? And we all do. Your employees do. Our bosses do. It is always going to happen. So I think it's important to talk about what to do in those situations when you do make a mistake. As a leader of a team or manager of a crew or wherever you're at, a foreman, landscaping job site or anything like that, in a way, a weird way, you're kind of a parent, right, to your team. And so they look to you, for answers. They look to run ideas by you. They get mad at you, right? They might hold grudges, right? It's much like being a parent. So you have to have a certain amount of authenticity when you're trying to create this culture, especially when you mess up. So, the things, there's kind of a few things to do, right? So you're sitting there and you realize that you've made a mistake, right? And this I'm not really going to give a specific example just because there really could be any type, right? So we can talk about, you messing up a schedule or making a schedule and forgetting an employee was off that day, and reprimanding them when they shouldn't have been, right? This could be you just did not handle a situation well with an employee. This could be you were having a bad day and let it show, and your employees really took it personally. I mean, there's a lot of different situations where you can screw up. Heavy lies the crown, right? So there's a lot of ways that you can make mistakes. So first thing, take responsibility. I've always liked to. It depends if it's an individual or a group, right? You have to kind of set it up correctly for whatever you're going to do, but it's important to go in front of these people face to face. It could be a closed door conversation, or if it's in a group setting, just in a group setting, and take responsibility for what you've done. Quite literally confess, right? Summarize what you thought happened, what actually did happen, and apologize for it. There's nothing wrong with apologizing and taking ownership for something you've done. But the key here is to be authentic when you do so. If you're just sitting there like, hey, ha, I messed up, let's move on. I'm sure there's situations that's okay, but you want to be authentic, especially in those moments. Because the second point is that even though we're supposed to be the best, right? We're put in these management positions because we bring a value or a certain skill set to the normal position, and we're able to, whether that's training or there could be a million things, right? But we're not the best, right? We have flaws. We screw up things. People look to us for the right answers. They look to us for guidance, etc. But the best managers, the best leaders are the ones that are willing to say, I don't know, right? The ones that are willing to say, I screwed up. It's much better than shooting from the hip, because if you're just sitting there giving vague answers, it's very obvious that you don't know. And I think that you garner a certain level of respect from your employees if you're able to say, I don't know right now, let me find out and we can follow up. That instead of making a mistake and then having to apologize over and over and over again, holds a lot of weight with your people. I think the second part of it too is that and this kind of falls back on, right, like the it's my fault thing. I think that was really our first true episode of this podcast, was admitting that, it's our fault. Everything that happens within our domain that we manage over is our fault ultimately. And what are you doing, right? So you've made this mistake, you've apologized, you were authentic, right? If necessary, you empathize with people. What are you going to do to be better? And that's kind of the point, right? It's the fact that you're trying to become better, whether that's through, reading books on, servant leadership. There's going through the programs like online, developing the leader within you is a really good one. Just reading blogs, listening to podcasts like this one. What are you doing? You do not have all of the answers. And if you're one of those people that walk around as if you do, you're a charlatan of a leader, quite frankly. We do not have it all figured out. I don't have it all figured out. I'm sitting here essentially just offering my advice. This is the stuff that I know that works for me. There's a million ways to skin a cat, and I'm sure that there's plenty of other ways out there to, take ownership with a team. These are just the things that have worked for me, and I don't have all the answers, which is why I've asked you guys to leave feedback, because I want to know what else is out there that works well. But one of the other things, and this was part of the blog I wrote this past week, is getting a mentor. I think is one of the best things to do as far as being able to grow and develop yourself as a manager, just because by doing so you're able to, one, have kind of take constructive criticism better, because this is someone that you trust, someone that you're willing to bounce ideas off of. They should be someone who's able to deliver, right, that criticism well. And not only that, but you're able to have your own ideas, but then they have not the answer, but points to ponder, if you will. And that's really what this is, right? I'm not telling you exactly what to do. I'm just kind of giving you points to ponder as far as, yes, you should take responsibility. That's just the right thing to do. How you do that is ultimately up to you. I just think it should be clear that that's what you're doing with your people. But yeah, I think listening to podcasts, reading books, blogs, talking to other leaders and managers, your superior. But I think the most important thing to do is to get a mentor. Like I said in my blog this past week, my mentor, Tony, he was the guy that promoted me into management when I was with FedEx Ground. And he really taught me a lot. He taught me, how to kind of be the voice for the team. He taught me about, praising in public. He taught me about, even the coaches win Super Bowl rings. The blog post itself was about actually becoming a mentor for somebody. So it was kind of on the flip side of this conversation, but he taught me a lot, and it really helped to have a phone number to call when I was in a situation where I didn't know what to do. So I think, along those same lines, right, you need to accept that you're going to screw up, right? And I think that's kind of the hardest part. I think that we want to be, I think a better way to put it is, I think we're apt to grow an ego, right? Especially as this person of power, right? Just to kind of pull the wool over your eyes, you have no power. Yeah, you've got positional power. Yeah, I'm the manager. You have to do what I say. But quite frankly, if that's the route you're taking, you're going to do a terrible job, and you're going to have really high turnover rates, and you're really, you might be like the grade C boss, and you might hit your goals. But I think this is actually something my mentor taught me. An interesting thing about goals is that's the lowest you can do, right? So if you're just meeting your goals, right, you're barely making it. It's like a D plus, man. So I think it's important to take a look at what I'm saying or what other books are saying. I really like Hunter. His leadership books are really incredible. To build culture, to build buy-in within your team, things like this. We're all of us managers and leaders are in this together, right? We can all learn from one another, and we have to know that There's going to be times that you're going to fail. Um, you're going to say the wrong thing. You're going to have terrible nonverbal communication, right? And they're just going to know. There's going to be times where, you lash out at certain employees, and you have to remember that if you're intentionally trying to do good and you're intentionally trying to build a positive culture that, we're in this together, and we can accomplish great things together as a team, that goes a long way. That shows a lot of integrity when you do the right thing when no one's looking, right? So when you do mess up, I think it's important to remember that one mistake does not define you as a manager or a leader. You're better than that. And I've seen it happen with some of my past managers where they make a mistake, and it's something that maybe I even, as their boss, wasn't upset with them about, but they knew they could have done better, and that just drug them down. And then their focus was on this one thing or this one metric or this one day, and then that started affecting other things because they were so hyper focused on this one thing that they forgot about all the other stuff. They missed a training opportunity with somebody, or they missed an opportunity for a one-on-one, or they're not paying attention to another specific metric. So just to kind of repeat myself, accept the fact that you're going to screw up and do not let it define you as a manager. I've told a lot of people that if you're always striving to do the right thing, that's what's going to be remembered, right? It's okay. People do give you grace if you're intentionally trying to do the right thing. So to kind of recap on this, because I know that was a lot of information. What are we doing when we don't get it right? We need to take responsibility. You need to sit there and accept the fact that you screwed up. Take responsibility with your team or with the individual that you screwed up with. Fess up to them. Tell them, be open on your decision making and how you got to that. And then be authentic in your apology to them. I think it goes a long way. Remember that you're not the best leader in the world. No one is, and there's always room for growth. And although people look to you for the right answers and guidance and things like that, it's okay to not know everything, and it's okay to tell your employees that you don't know. It gives you an opportunity, right? You're creating opportunities to find the right answer, give it to them, but you're also showing them that you're reliable and following up, and I think that shows a lot too. So third part, I think, is learn how to be better. We can all grow. Like I said, my favorite quote, I should say, in the world is, if you're green, you grow. If you're ripe, you rot. Meaning, when you're green, you're always willing to take in nutrients, right? You're trying to grow. So you're reading, you're listening, you're observing other leaders. You have a mentor, all the things that we talked about. When you're ripe, you're done. You're ready to be picked. And if that's the case, the only other option is to rot, because you have no more growth left in you. So learn how to be better every single day in some form or fashion, whether that's self-reflection on yourself or, like I said, reading books, podcasts, etc. And lastly, like we just talked about, accept the fact that you're going to screw up, and that it does not have to define you as a manager. So we're all in this together. We're all trying to selfishly, right? We're trying to have great metrics, have a great team, kind of reach that pinnacle of being the person that everybody looks at. It's like, I want to be like that. And it's an ongoing process and it never stops. So baby steps, bullets before cannonballs on making your decisions. And, I think that we can all strive for that greatness. So that's really all I've got for today. Kind of a quick one, but I think we tackled a lot of good topics. So again, look forward to hearing your guys' comments. Please comment on Instagram, on X, or this YouTube video. Again, find me on Instagram and YouTube, Leading on the Frontlines, and then on X, Leading the Front. I do have a link on my Instagram for my weekly blog. It's typically a little bit different than what I talk about, just to kind of throw some cool content out there. I really like the first one I posted, Quit Having Terrible Meetings. That was a fun read. And like I said last time, it's kind of a more candid conversation with Dan. So again, Dan Hornacek leading on the front lines. Please subscribe and leave a review. Look forward to talking to you guys soon. Have a good day.